After I'd been in the airplane business for 3 years in Long Beach, I decided that I would like to be an artist, and I came north to Carmel in 1937, and I've been painting in watercolor ever since. I met some very interesting people and lively people, and one lady who had what might be called a salon was Marie Short. In fact, she had the only real salon that I have actually seen or run into in the Carmel area. It was a salon perhaps in the sense of being a sort of gathering place for artists and writers that Gertrude Stein and Alice B. Toklas maintained in Paris. But Marie had hers in Carmel, and there are a number of very famous people who came there, and some who were not at that time known at all, like Irwin Shaw, who in later years has become one of the best-known writers on the American scene. Other people that came there included Robinson Jeffers and his wife Una, and of course they were always interesting and naturally colorful. Other people, well, for instance, Langston Hughes came there, the Negro poet, and he used to visit Marie's. Came here one time, and Marie didn't have any room to put him up at her house, so she sent him over to the Pine Inn. The Pine Inn refused to rent him a room, so he got in touch with Noel Sullivan, who was a very nice gentleman who lived up in the Carmel Valley, maintaining a nice estate up there. Noel came down to the Pine Inn, and he said to the manager, he says, you rent a room to this man, or I will buy this place and turn it into a whorehouse. So they rented him a room. I'm not running out of tales, but I was in Carmel for a long time and became a member of the Carmel Art Association in 1940, so that makes me about, I think there are two people who became members earlier than I, John Cunningham and Elwood Graham. But I have been a member for a long time, and I have been painting just about only in watercolor, although occasionally I have done other things like a series of panels for the Pilot Market over in Carmel, showing what is being sold in the department underneath the panel. I hadn't seen this done before in any grocery stores, but now I notice that a lot of the big chains have cutouts that they put over each department. So I don't know if I was the originator of this idea or not. Now, I had worked and painted on tile because a friend of mine was a very fine ceramist, and he innovated this technique of painting on tile. I would cut through the moist glazes to a black mat that he had already fired on the tile. So this furnished the line for the painting. Then I would paint with pigments which he gave me on the moist glazes which were on top of the tiles, and that resulted in a painting which I call the Tile or the Net Menders, which is at present in the county courthouse over on Aguajito Road. Since then, or actually all the time, I have been painting in watercolor and occasionally make trips into what might be called the Old West. As I've been to, I started going back to Central City to see, and I met some friends there and I could stay with them. I went there, and that was a very interesting place to paint because you had very little horizontal, it's almost vertical mounting in Central City, so that you didn't have to worry about how to compose the sky or what to do about it because the houses went right up into the sky, so to speak. I met some interesting painters up there. One, Angelo Di Benedetto. I don't know what happened to him, but anyhow, he lived and painted there. And after Central City, I started going to Aspen, Colorado. And some friends of mine by the name of Berkey moved over to Aspen. So actually, I was in Aspen, I think in 1943 or 44, sometime around there, maybe a little bit earlier. And believe me, it was certainly a different place than it is now. It was, I mean, the people that were there made enough noise, but it was relatively unpopulated. They had not broken the town up into malls. There were just the old streets there and the old Hotel Jerome. And Francis Whitaker, who became very well known in later years as an absolutely super blacksmith, moved there. But he moved there after I had first, I discovered the place in a way before Francis did. The reason Francis moved there actually originally was that he could practically ski out of his front yard. His house was right below the ski slopes. I haven't seen Francis now for many years, but from what I read, he's doing very well. He doesn't know where, I don't know where a sense of color comes from. It just comes from relating colors one to another over a period of years. And as much as I've been painting actually in watercolor since 1940, why the development of a palette was not something that I got from any teacher. It's just something which I developed myself over a period of years. It consists actually of the earth colors and 3 blues and 3 greens and some 2 or 3 yellows and chrome orange. And that's just about the extent of my particular palette. There's light and there's shade. That's, things cast shadows, but the shadows are, which I said, probably what you want to know about the light and the shade is that it helps make the, whatever you're painting more dramatic, because you see the shapes better. When it's foggy around here, for instance, the whole landscape is quite flat. So the sun, creating, but it's a source of light and also the shade. So that makes the whole thing quite different. If you're painting outside, certainly. Because really, I am quite empathetic, and that is the basis, I think, of my painting that I think of myself as being, and I've said this before, and I know it's becoming a trite statement on my part, I am the oak tree on the hill, the breaking wave on the rock. Now it's a bit fat-headed too, but anyhow, that is my feeling about nature, and also actually I began to pick this up doing life studies actually, and then I became very intrigued with the outdoors, and I used to be a great farm scene painter, and I went from here, I would go to Castroville or over to Watsonville or up along Highway 101 actually, where there are a number of beautiful farm groups, and my favorite farm group was the Hatton Ranch down at the mouth of the Carmel Valley, and that is gone and has been gone for many years. And so actually are most of the farm groups. I don't know that farming has gone out of style, but I do think the small farmer is certainly losing out, and that these acres now for the most part are farmed by very large businesses.